So for those who missed it, there was an incident at the Blast Premier Global Finals where they had a screen on in the background. And I said, this is ridiculous now, because this is the third event where a top-tier team has had a stream on in the room they are playing in the online era. We have established this was wrong. We have had our attempted governing body draw a line in it and say they are, zero tolerance moving forward. And then Vitality have gone and done it again. So I made a video saying they should have been disqualified. I absolutely stand by that, by the way. I think a $10,000 fine when Vitality were competing for a tournament where the first prize is $600,000 is absolutely taking the piss and woefully insufficient. But I said disqualify him. Well, you can imagine. Vitality Flair on Reddit. Richard is a drama queen. People in the Deserto YouTube channel comments. Richard is biased against Vitality. What has Richard got against the French? Is it because we is French? All that. And it's like, guys, I don't know if you understand this, but there is no point in having rules at all if we are going to say, right, break them, but don't do it again. Okay, someone's done it again. Right, zero tolerance this time. Just have a fine. Just have a fine. Just have a fine. Whatever, it's cheating. Just have a fine, though. Now, to be clear, do I think Vitality cheated? Well, no. No, with about, 5 or 6 ends, no. They definitely know not to do that. And I have problems with Vitality in general and their setup. I don't understand why there are people in that room, in that booth with them, on their phones. I mean, if you've ever been to a LAN, and by the way, I get told all the time I'm a liar and a shill for the big cheating conspiracy where Valve make all the money. But, if you've ever been to a LAN, you're not going to be allowed your mobile phone or your coach and manager sitting behind you on their mobile phone while you're playing a competitive game. You're not going to be allowed to do that. So why is it being allowed in the online era? A member of Blast reached out to me when I was kicking off on Twitter because, Vitality suddenly wanted to get to know me. Their owner DMs me, "Hi, I saw your video saying we should be disqualified. I just wanted to say it was a mistake." Guys, listen, I ain't that powerful. Don't worry about it. You're the money people. I'm just some fucking bum. So it's all good. And Blast, their admin, was saying, "Oh, we've explicitly told them that they're allowed to have those people in the room." Why would you do that? So I don't know. I don't like that. I think if Vitality had any common sense, and in fact, I'm going to go so far and I'm going to say the D word, decency. If they had any decency, they would simply stop doing it in the sense of fairness. That their opponents aren't doing that. Their opponents don't have a fucking masseur and the owner and a substitute player and someone else on their phone, so they shouldn't do it. I mean, just out of a sense of proportionate fairness. But Vitality have shown little to no interest in that. They've paid their $10,000 fine, and then this little drama came up. The coaching bug reared its head again, as we said it did, and there's another wave of coaching bug abuses coming out that ESIC have investigated. There's Boris Johnson bowing his head from the last stream. But here's the video, and again, it's by this Jessica Kershier. If you don't know who she is, she's somebody that collated all of the Brazilian clips, and this is a very familiar type of clip, right? We've seen this kind of clip before. This is Extaz, the coach of Vitality's view. And this is what the bug was doing. You would load into the game. It would put you in a weird place on the map where if you sat there, you would have an advantage. And this is like what happened. This is like what Dead's videos looked like, right? Now with Dead, it was on 4 occasions. As far as we know, this is just one of Xtaz. Anyway, you don't need to watch the full round. I mean, you can see now. Now, Isik chimed in on this after this clip sort of blew up. It went to the subreddit. And Isik said, this incident was brought to our attention as part of the second batch of coach bug incidents, but Xtaz was removed from our sanction matrix, along with many others, because the evidence is he was AFK and switched to a player's point of view as soon as he noticed he was bugged. We will be releasing the results of this second part of the investigation soon. You may have noticed we've been busy these last couple of months. So, this has kind of flummoxed me a little bit. Because it's like, like, what evidence do we have that he was AFK? Like, how do we possibly discern that? I've seen some people say, you know, it's like Guerry's situation. No, Guerry sat back in the chair, saw it, then left the chair and didn't say anything. So it's not quite the same. Dead did move the camera around, even though he said he wasn't there. He was at the toilet or whatever. So this is a unique situation. But equally, it seems to me, if you were going to exploit a bug like this, you wouldn't move, you know, if you wanted that plausible deniability. So I'm not saying anything untoward's gone on. But, I mean, when I think about guys like LMBT who were kind of impugned publicly and then had to appeal and then had the ban lifted and we still don't really know the evidence for or against, it's all a very opaque system, which, you know, maybe that's fine. Maybe that's how it needs to be. With everything else that's got on my vitality, I'm kind of like, I don't know about all of it. I'm starting to not like all this shit now. Like, you know, like the question becomes, you know, if you look at the date of that match, it was in March 2019. Okay. So the question becomes also, you know, sure, you haven't abused the bug. Let's agree that. Why have you not said anything? Why have you not said anything about it? Like, why have you not noticed that and told somebody about it? You know? It's like the biggest issue is for me isn't, well, the biggest issue about the coaching bug isn't that people used it. It's that it went unspoken about for years so people could use it. That's worse, right? That's like, you know, if there's a loophole and you know about it and you don't want to tell anyone and someone else comes along, finds the loophole, tells everybody, you don't get to use the loophole no more. No one gets to use the loophole anymore. That person did the honest thing. The problem we've had is in this coaching bug debacle is that every coach seemingly in the world was aware of its existence. And there was, you know, nothing said about it. So how long have I known of the bug? I didn't know about the bug until it went public. That was not one of the bugs I was aware of. I mean, my rule of thumb after years of reporting about this stuff is if I find a game-breaking bug in a game, I don't buy into the, you know, Reddit moderator, game developer, stupid streamer influencer world of don't tell anyone. No, the cat's already out the bag by the time I've found it, dickhead. So we have a choice now. Either everyone can learn about it and it's a level playing field until the developer gets off their ass and fixes it, or a select few who know about it get to use it and exploit it and get disproportionate rewards for doing so. It's a no-brainer out of those two. So what I've always done is I always shout out whenever I see a bug. I tell people about it. Pisses people off. Again, makes me a pariah. It's the right thing to do. 99 times out of 100, if not 100 times out of 100, the game developer has to fix the bug then. Because the game becomes unplayable. The position becomes untenable. I don't give a fuck. People want to say bad things about me. That's fine. Anyway, yeah. And also as well, can we also just say this? I'm going to bring this up on BTN. There was another part of this that like has been blowing my mind, right? Where was it? God, there's so many threads to go through. Here it is. Right. Excellent. So there was this thread went onto the front page, right? You can see Valve ignored Peter's report about the coach bug in 2018. Went back and you can see here, he said, "Nice try, CSGO. How about you open a channel for direct contact with the pro scene? What happened to you? In 2014, it was easy to access you. Now we have to hope our emails come through. And if not, then hunt you down on Twitter DMs." And you can see in the screenshots, he posted this, which was a DM he sent in November 2018, saying, "Hey guys, noticed the bug when you are coaching game. It's happened to me 3 times. The bug is that you have free look on a certain spot, blah, blah." Now, a lot of people have said, this just Valve, scumbags. This is typical of Valve. They don't listen to the pros. The phone. Oh, it's my phone triggering people again. So the reality there is, with this is like the only thing Peter got right is that there should be better channels of communication than what we have. Maybe even a dedicated community manager, dare I say. But everything else, absolute garbage. And this is, again, controversial. Don't really give a fuck. There's a vested interest on Peter's behalf of him trying to make himself look like the good guy. After all of the negative stuff he's been associated with, including, by the way, being banned in this wave of coaches that abused it. Peter's trying to say, look, I tried to tell everybody, I was trying to, I'm the good guy. Forget about all of that nip stuff. This is my redemption arc. Here's the reality. The person who runs that CSGO Twitter account obviously isn't very high up in Valve. I don't even know if they outsource it, frankly, because I find their behavior on Twitter to be really antithetical to what they should be doing. It's an account with over 1 million followers. And, what are they doing on an operation launch day? They're tweeting at fucking Ryan from Rush B Media. And trolling. It's like, you do realize that represents like a $multi-billion corporation, just posting memes. Right, let's talk about the things they've never done on that Twitter account. You've never promoted a tournament that wasn't directly Valve related. You've never linked to content, apart from that one brief week I think you linked to someone's animations. You've never blown up YouTubers or people doing analysis. You've never acknowledged a legendary broadcasting talent retiring, winning awards, things like that. that Twitter account alone could be driving people to the esports side of your game. And you don't use it for anything except posting patch notes and stupid memes. So I have to believe that whoever runs that Twitter account is not a high-up Valve employee. Because if they were, they are incompetent. They are morons. And Valve are many things. They aren't stupid. So, yeah, they did tweet out the Blast Global fans. And listen, I think I've said it enough times on By the Numbers. I think I've said it enough times on my streams. I've said it to them directly. That I think the way they use their Twitter account is an embarrassment when you could do so much more with it. And I don't know. It looks to me like things they've started to do in Dota and things I think they're going to start doing in CS as best practice. I think they're actually going to start learning their lessons in 2021. But anyway, so that is not an appropriate avenue of communication for a game-breaking bug. And I'll also tell you, there isn't a single person in the professional scene who doesn't know who Brian and Edo are at Valve and doesn't know their emails. So, like, hands down, if you've been around, as long as Peter has, you've probably got their email. I find it very hard to believe you didn't. And even if you don't, you can actually direct. There's a website, I think it might be on the Valve website. You can actually direct email responses to them. So, there's no excuse. A fucking Twitter DM for something so important? Nah, so I'm not having it, guys. Sorry. That's bullshit narrative. Valve were not aware of it in 2018. I think if they were aware of it in 2018, they would have done something about it in 2018. It wasn't like after it went public, it took them ages to fix it. So, yeah, that's nonsense. But anyway, the reality is, I think that incident, I'm just very curious as to know what the excuses are for Xtaz not saying anything about that bug. That's what I want to know. I think there has to be a line drawn when we're talking about these when we're talking about the bug abuse and we're talking about coaches using them, because remember, we're talking about two separate offenses effectively. There's using it to gain information in a game and repeat uses across multiple games, but there's also the complicity of knowing about it and doing nothing about it. Now, with everything else I've seen from Vitality and their very slipshod attitude towards rules and tournament integrity, I don't know. I don't know. It makes me very uncomfortable without knowing what the evidence is, one way or the other. But I think, I know, slap on the wrist again maybe is appropriate, personally. But I guess I'm just biased, right? Like, yeah, I mean, Starrick's prime example, man. Like, come on, dog. Starrick's defense was, I don't remember doing it, which, I'm not a prosecutor, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a barrister, I don't have any legal expertise at all, really. But I'll tell you, in a court of law, if you get it right, so did you do it then? Yeah. What were you doing on the night of the 5th? And you go, I don't really remember, mate. And there's a video of you doing it. That is possibly the worst defense you can proffer. So, all things told, I really don't particularly like the way this has been handled. I also think it's a little bit unprecedented, although I do know why ESIC has done it, to prevent a witch hunt, essentially, although that's not their job. They've come out and specifically said, this guy's innocent, we've already cleared him. And stay tuned for the rest of the reports. I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, cleared him of everything, for sure. Not just that one incident. Like, I know. I think it's all been poorly handled, personally. And in E6 sometimes are their own worst enemies when it comes to, it's already going to be hard enough for people to accept their medicine. It's already going to be hard enough to accept that there's an external governing body telling everyone in the scene what's appropriate, what to do. You know, as I said, prime example of it the other day. A regular follower of mine, a nice dude, always tweets me useful things, was tweeting at me saying, Richard, you got to do something about E6 incompetence. And I'm like, well, you know me, no dog in the fight. I'm the dog in the fight, right? I'll fuck it, whoever it is, I'll have a go. So they tweeted at me about that Australian ban thing, and they said, look, they banned Australian CS players in ESEA for betting on American ESEA games. And I didn't bother replying because all that'll lead to is an argument. That person gets blocked and then stalks me for the rest of my life. But that isn't incompetence. That is exactly how it would operate in any other sport. The idea that in an online game, right? Remember that. The idea that someone in Australia wouldn't have contact with someone in America. Oh, it's just too far. It's just too far removed. That makes zero sense. There's no logic to that. If you're a professional footballer, you can't bet on football. That's it. There's always a chance you could have gained insider knowledge. So you're not allowed to bet. That's it. And people don't seem to understand it. So, I mean, the Australian response, by the way, there were some players out there. I mean, I can't show you the pictures, I don't think, because of Twitch TOS. But there was people, like, tweeting pictures of Ian from ESIC and implying he was a pedophile, saying they were going to kill him, things like that, from some of the banned players. And it's like, that's the scene. That's the scene you're dealing with. That's the scene you're trying to clear up. I told Ian, I said, look, mate, that's the fucking tip of the iceberg. I had that on fucking day one when I started talking about Counterstrike. It gets crazier, trust me. Yeah, exactly. He pulled an Elon Musk. So it's going to be really hard, but this is why you need clear and consistent and concise. Someone who sees that video and watches maybe another clip by Dead, or Rugger is probably a better example. The Rugger clip, very similar to that. And I think he even said I was AFK, and that was his defense. And he got banned for 3 months. So, you know, when you say we've cleared that one individual for that clip, you start to ask questions about how much information you have around each things, and I understand people being skeptical now. You know, I think there had to be a slap on the wrist there. I know it sounds fucked up because the bug could literally happen to anyone, but if the bug, if you don't instantly disconnect and report it and then make a concerted effort to tell everyone that bug exists, I think you deserve to be punished. Sorry, guys. That's my thought process. Understand as well, this is from the sort of holistic viewpoint of what was going to happen to the Counter-Strike scene. What did I tell everybody at the start of 2020 when we moved into the online era? I was like, integrity really has got to be front and center now, guys. You know, I said a lot of these results don't matter because we don't know who's doing what, and it's online. Lots of people were going, well, online CS, how dare you be disrespectful of Big, a team who will surely replicate their fortunes at a tier 1 LAN event. You know, and it's like, guys, this is how it is. And lo and behold, you know, when you know that this is a game that has a lot of bugs in it, you know, I don't know specifically which ones, but I'll tell you, at any given time in Counter-Strike, there is a game-breaking bug waiting to be found. And I can say that from being around the game for 16, 17 years. It's always there. Well, NVIDIA driver update. Surely that can't change everything. And your smokes are gone. Your smokes are gone. If you have an NVIDIA card, ambient occlusion, everything else, that is, there's always one there. It's just about who finds it and then how widespread it becomes. And so that's why I'm always super skeptical about online results, because, players will go right up into the line of downloading cheats. That they consider that an anathema. They never do that. Most pros, I'm talking about 99.99999 recurring pros. But they will go up to that line. They'll say, oh, what's that? These drivers make smokes bloom a little bit smaller, or flashes last a second less. No harm in using them, I guess. I mean, shit, even to the point of specifically rolling back drivers, having essentially a Counterstrike setup they use, which involves rolling back drivers, It's like, I've seen it. I've been around it. It's just the reality. So, when we go into an entirely online era, man, we had to be so much better than what we were. And everyone was just like, having a fucking sandwich. That's not how you eat a sandwich, is it? But whatever. Laissez-faire as fuck about, the games, the setup, this, that. And they just allowed players to do what they want, set up how they want. They're like, oh, is there someone in the room? Oh, what kind of setting? And now, I saw it was Yakinda the other day on Mirage playing for Virtus Pro, and I saw him get 2 kills through a smoke, and they were very wow, that's. Not only did he know that 2 people had pushed up, and I'm sure there's a million ways of explaining it, but now instantly in the online era, my brain goes to, I wonder if there's another smoke bug in the game, because people have told me, yeah, there's another smoke bug in the game. They don't want to show it to me. They don't want to share it, so I just think they're liars. But, I've had DMs on Twitter going, lol, you only found one of the smoke bugs. Now you start wondering, every time you see a suspicious clip. And this is why when I did the Counterstrike esports apocalypse rant, which Rod disagrees with me, Slasher disagrees with me, everyone is saying, no, but look, the viewing numbers are going up. We're at a tipping point. We're absolutely at a tipping point where I have seen this comment now. Stop me if you've read this on Reddit or Twitter. I am so sick of competitive Counter-Strike now. It's been ruined for me. All this cheating, all these advantages. You can't trust the results. It's just making it so boring. Hands up if you've read that comment, right? Because I've seen it every day. And I've seen it every day this year with increasing frequency. And so it's great that we break a record for fucking Na'Vi and Astralis, but people will not be sticking around if we have another scandal. Oh, what's that? We've got one in the post. Oh, okay, well, as long as no one's match fixing. If the ESIC investigation finds the names I expect them to find based on things I know and things I've shared with them, if they nail those people to the wall, you're going to see some names. It ain't tier 1, but, tier 2, and tier 2 ain't a million miles away from tier 1 in NA. So now you've got match fixing adjacent. Well, what's the point in watching amateur games? Very good question. And let's look at every competitive scene that has collapsed down the years, and let's look at the things that happened to them. So fans get bored of the game because of oversaturation. Fans can't trust the game anymore because of scandals or match fixing, and entire scenes. Entire continents, geographical regions where the game is popular, pull out to support other games. If you were around StarCraft 2, you already know this story. If you were around StarCraft 2, you've already seen this. So I do not think, oh, well, we broke a viewership record. It was still happening in StarCraft 2 while the community was memeing dead game. We were still breaking records and, more prize money and all of this. But eventually, oh, well, no North Americans are playing it anymore. So, they're playing, the orgs are now supporting League of Legends. We're getting this gradual shift across. you know, it's guys, like I don't know, man. Like I'm telling you, fans only have so much patience for this stuff, and rightly so. You shouldn't tolerate any of it. And this is why, imagine the cost of not disqualifying a team from a tournament when they've broke a rule is that people become so jaded of just watching, teams like write a check essentially every time they want to get away with something. Like Peacemaker got wrecked on the subreddit. I saw this. Peacemaker got wrecked on the subreddit. And again, Peacemaker's a lot of things. Stupid he ain't. People said he was doing a stupid take. He replied to ESIC and said a $10,000 fine. Doesn't that kind of make it a risk versus reward thing, given that the first prize is $600,000? That's a perfectly valid perspective, by the way, because if the punishment is to be fined 10 grand and you can maybe get some additional information from stream sniping, which, by the way, it is overblown how much a delayed fucking 5-minute stream can really give you. But it's an advantage, and we have a rule there for a reason. And if there's a rule there, it's irrelevant really what the rule is. If you break a rule at a tournament, there should be a punishment. When you say, we're going to fine you this, just essentially saying, well, you may as well take a chance because it's only going to cost you $10,000. And the reality is, it's, as brutal as this sounds, $10,000 split 5 ways, $2,000 to players that are being paid $20,000 to $25,000 a month and will get additional prize money on top of that. It's a drop in a bucket, especially because you haven't even earned it yet. It doesn't affect the org. It doesn't really affect the players. $10,000, if you wanted to, when we start talking about $2 million tournaments, the risk of 10 grand to have an advantage at winning the big prize, that's a good investment. You may as well. So, yeah, I mean, lots to think about there, right? And anyway, this was the other thing, because I saw a lot of debate and chatter about Valve's ruling. Let me just get the link. And a lot of people have been upset with this. I saw Device call this out, I think, and I saw like multiple players say like, oh, you're punishing the good coaches here. And again, I'm going to be at odds with the community. I fully support Valve in the decision they've made here. Fully support them. I don't know what else to say. It's like, hang on, there is some water in the back of this. There you go. We'll have a beer in a bit. Leave it till 2 in the afternoon before we have a nice, delicious, low-carb beer. But anyway, I fully support what Valve have done in this. I think the position they were in, where they absolutely had to address it, and they waited, the sheer scope and expanse of the problem, this is the only choice that was open to them. Like, what do you want them to do? Like, this is a widespread problem where if it was 1 or 2 coaches had been caught, it would be disproportionate and ridiculous, even though Valve have never liked the idea of coaches anyway. It was 37 with more to fucking follow. Like, what do you want them to do at that point? Well, the vast majority of coaches are using it, but there are a few good guys, so let's just let it ride, I guess, and then we can be back here hoping someone finds out 5 years later after the bug is first introduced in the game, and we can retroactively ban them all after the damage has been done. I don't think people realize the extent this type of thing has on the scene. I've already said it. For example, think about what happened to Na'Vi when they lost online to teams like Hard Legion, and think about the pressure that puts on them and roster changes, and people might get dropped or they don't go to certain tournaments. Think about what happens when it's, I think there was one team, the name escapes me, but they were entered into 2 qualifiers. They got knocked out both times by a team cheating and using the bug, and that team folded. They're gone. You know? Yeah, Pro 100, there you go. Maybe even Scatter, I don't know, man. Maybe more than one. They're gone now. Those pros lost their chance at a career because you decided to cheat. So saying Valve should just sit around and be under the assumption, well, I'm sure there's not I'm sure next time there's a problem, it'll be brought up in good fashion. No, sorry guys, you've forfeited the right now. I know it's fucked up, but this is why you don't let shit fester. When put it this way again, if you go look at sports, right? What did they made change, like cycling. Here you go. I rewatched that Lance Armstrong documentary recently, so cycling's on my brain. What they made when they caught a team wrecked out their minds on all sorts of stuff, they started bringing in more vigorous testing. Then when the EPO epidemic happened, because it didn't show on the testing they had, and everyone was on EPO, a drug that increases the number of red blood cells in your bloodstream, and therefore by extension more oxygen, very good for grueling tournaments, and wasn't detected by testing, everyone started banging on EPO. When they caught team after team after team after team after team, all wrecked out their mind on EPO, including the face of cycling, Lance Armstrong, who came back from losing his nuts and battling like brain cancer. People always go, oh, he beat testicular cancer. No, he had stage 4 metastasis where it was in his lungs and in his brain, which, by the way, still makes him a G in my book, even if he was a cheating piece of shit, because beating that stuff is fucking hard. Obviously, you have a head start if you get it when you're 23, but that's fucking mental. Regardless, he, right? Did the people who run cycling, turn around and go, well, listen, I'm sure we've caught all of you now. No need to make any changes. Of course they didn't. They made changes to make sure widespread use of EPO wouldn't happen again in the future, and supposedly that golden age is over. I have no frame of reference. I don't work in cycling. So, saying, what? You're just going to ban all of us because 37 of us got caught, including people that had won Valve tournaments in the past, like Starix, and all of them admitted to keeping a code of silence so people could use the bug and completely fuck the online scene for 5 years. And just because of that, you're gonna ban everyone. Yeah, dickheads. Yeah, absolutely. What fucking planet do you live on? What do you think was gonna happen? It's a ridiculous stance to take. It's, you're essentially saying Valve, who already, by the way, had let the coaching role creep up to be something they didn't want it to be ever. They're on the record in 2016 saying it's a 5-on-5 game. That's what we want. But the orgs went and did their own thing. And look, you vindicated Valve. All you little cheating bitches. You vindicated Valve. They were right. They now can say, we should have put our foot down in 2016. And do you know what? If they had, we wouldn't have had half of these problems. We'd be in a better spot now. So anyway, they come out and said that they're going to ban people who've got 6 or more demerits from all Valve events, which will now include regional major qualifiers. So this is really bad. If you're banned from all Valve events and it was just the majors, now the way that we have the regional major qualifiers, that's a lot of events, because some people might compete in an event just to go to an event, and they might happen to have regional major ranking points attached to it. Well, sorry guys, you can't take your coach anymore. Valve events are not just their events now. Or rather, not just the majors now. It's all these other events run by third-party operators. They are considered Valve events, even though it might be a Summit, it might be Flashpoint, it might be an ESL event. Wait. So, to avoid the diminished integrity of coaching from casting a shadow on the integrity of Valve-sponsored events, we are now changing the restrictions on support staff in the following way. During online matches, only players are allowed in the room and on the server. Neither coaches nor any other team staff will be allowed in the room, on the server, or to otherwise communicate with the team during an online match. Now, my advice to everyone who runs a tournament right now is read that rule and get on that fucking page. Just get on that page, because that's Valve on the right page here. That's where you need to be. If you want to trust in your results, if you don't want any fuckery in your online games, that's what you need to be doing, because it's all fine and fucking dandy having, you know, ooh, Apex is getting a back rub in the middle of a game while his owner's behind him looking hype. Looks really good on your broadcast. You do not know what is going on in that room. You don't know what's being said. He's got a fucking mobile phone in his hand. That is outrageous. If I was a manager of one of your other partnered teams and I saw them doing that, I would publicly withdraw from your tournament, saying you are not treating me fairly, someone who respects the rules. I would make such a stink. I would make such a stink. You know, what is this? Like, fuck it. It's like Def Jam Records all up in that motherfucker. Just an entourage rolling in. Vitality stream on in the background. You know, oh, here you go. Here's the money. Like, no. Not my scene, not my game. It can't be allowed to be like that. Oh, hey, Ven. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. I haven't talked to you in fucking time, mate. And yeah, let me read your point there. Like Messi also said earlier this week, not hard to circumvent it and make it tough for TOs to actually know what's going on. Yeah, sure. But I mean, like, you got to have the effort. And I think a camera in the room is one thing. You should have multiple cameras. Put it this way. You know which scene is already doing this? Valorant. Valorant already have a rule that support staff cannot be in the room during their competitions. And they send people out there with cameras to film for their broadcast. And they keep them honest and they make sure it's going on. Crazy, right? Do you understand? Like, I have said that, I'm on record as having said, Riot Games are not ready for the deluge of shit that is going to come their way from running a competitive FPS esports scene. But I'll tell you one thing, the thing I'll always give Riot credit for is they have a tendency to out of all of the big game developers I've seen, to actually learn the lessons from other people. Because they're derivative, you know, they don't have an original idea in their head. But as a result of that, they do look at things and go, yeah, that's good, and we can make that better, actually, and let's do it and pretend we did it the whole time, and we're really innovative. That's Riot Games. Now, when it comes to integrity, that's actually a really good thing. So, they've already got better integrity protections as a rule in a fucking Valorant Online Cup than they do at Blast Premier. Like, who's happy about that? Who's waking up saying, oh, that's great? That's really good, actually, that our game's biggest competitor is already ahead of the fucking curve on integrity issues. And motherfuckers calling out Valve for do you understand how fucking lenient they've been? Do you also understand that Valve could have turned around and big-dicked every tournament and said, right, from now on, you do it our way or not at all? And then coaching really would be dead. But they didn't do that. Valve didn't do it. Valve is still saying we only want dominion over our shit. And if that ever changes, guys, it's shit like this that's going to make it change. So meet Valve halfway and just be like, right, you know what? It's probably not a bad idea to maybe only have coaches. You know what? Why have them doing what they're doing? really. You know, coaching is not something that only happens on game day. It's not like some essential fucking thing. And this is the other thing I hate. All these players and all these coaches are all publicly trying to gaslight you. What, like, they sit around flicking their ass until it's game day, and then they're behind them, like, you know, their in-game leader is like fucking Tom Brady, and they're in their ear calling all the plays. It ain't like that. And it shouldn't be like that. But that's what they're telling you. And oh, if we're not in the room and we can't do it, no, what's going to happen? It ain't like that. So it's fucking crazy to me. Like, it could have been like that, but no. All these motherfuckers had to fuck it up. We could have had a scene like that. We could have had a game like that. Maybe we could have won Valve over. The online era has fucked it. So, but I know when we do that next episode of By the Numbers, right? I know for a fact, me and Duncan are going to disagree. Duncan hates the notion of collective punishment, which I think is where he's going to file this. For me, I think if enough people abuse a rule, and so you take that rule, you change that rule so the thing they're abusing doesn't exist anymore, I think that makes sense to me. So, but no doubt that'll be fun. You know, remember, we never disagree. That's what people always say. Richard and Duncan agree on everything. Their podcast is just them sucking each other up. Which would get loads more money if that was true. But it's not. So, I don't know, man. I'm kind of like a little bit tilted with all of this stuff right now. It's like, no one's gonna listen. Like, we just never, like, we've just got fucking fat and complacent, you know, like Conor McGregor. We've just got fat and complacent, and we just think our game's gonna last. Our game's gonna last forever. Our competitive scene's gonna last forever because it always has been there, and therefore it can never end. It's like, you know, and it's like, I know enough about this business to tell you no game is immune, and not even Counterstrike. And we are facing unique challenges. We're facing very unique challenges with the emergence of Valorant. So,